Hey John, can you kind of see my computer now?
Yeah, you need to clean your desktop.
I do. Beyond that, just want to make sure you could see it.
Yep.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, who's that talking to me?
It's me, Paula.
Hi Paula,
How
how
are
are
you?
you?
I'm
I'm
good.
good, thank you. Good.
How many sites do we have? Do you know?
I am seeing one, two, three, four. I'm seeing about five.
Are you hearing that loud? It sounds like somebody's got a loud fan in their room.
Yeah, I am hearing that. We'll probably have everybody mute when I start so that we don't have to listen to it. Sometimes those microphones pick up that background.
Yeah.
So far,
Well, we have 9
I don't
people
see.
registered to come here.
Good. Okay. Yeah, I don't see Region 1. I would have thought they would have been a connection too, but
I talked to Jake. He was on his way over to Region 1 when I talked to him.
okay. All right.
Hi, John.
Hi, Paula. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Poor Dustin's chomping at the bit to get his new toy.
It's on its way, I hear.
I know, that's what I hear too. It's going to be like a kid. Oh, he was so hoping to get it before the holiday.
Oh, I'm sure.
What is it?
A Surface Pro 4.
Ah.
With the high-end processor so he can do 3D modeling.
Oh
Yep.
boy.
So he's excited.
That's intense.
Yes.
We ordered it like 2 months ago. It's been on back order. They finally shipped it last Friday.
Yeah, Stephanie from SHI had called and said about something else, and I said, "Oh, by the way, thank you for keeping Dustin appraised of the status, because otherwise he'd be down here bugging me." And she goes, "Yeah, I know." She goes, "I hope you have some shipping information no later than the first part of this week." You know.
Yeah.
So apparently it shipped Friday. That was like Wednesday. I talked to her. So.
John, how many people are you expecting at yours? Just you?
Myself and Renee for sure, and she thought maybe Brandon Evansville might pop in. We're not sure though.
Because I'm just saying you're slightly off camera.
Yeah, I like it that way. If I could be completely off camera, I'd be, be a better.
I know you'll be making faces.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. I think at the Battle Lake one many years ago, I was in the back room reading a newspaper with Barry Butler. Just not a camera range. I think that was one of the early Death by E-Rate trainings. I think you only had 119 slides.
That sounds low for me, actually.
I was gonna say that was a short presentation for Mary that day.
Yeah. Yeah, in the early days they were pretty awful.
Oh. So while we're waiting,
I want you to know I'm down to 19 this time.
Wow, cut off a whole 100.
Hi, how are you? Good. I'll sit back here. There's the list of everybody that's registered. There's only 9, so.
Okay.
If you need,
I'll
there's
sit it
another
closer
chair
up.
there, and then we can steal some chairs out of there if you want to. I'm gonna mute this so that it.
Now Lakes Country is muted so they can say rude things about me and I can't hear them.
You just got to get better at reading lips.
Did you hear about that Mary Wessecover?
There they go.
Well, what I heard is that last night.
What bar was she escorted out of now?
I think it's going to be online tomorrow.
Well, whoever had that fan noise must have muted, because I don't hear it anymore.
Yeah, I don't hear it now either.
Hello.
Anybody else showing up?
Not that I'm aware of.
I figured I'd just set up just in case.
Yeah. Can we sit back there in the sun?
It might be a little difficult seeing the screen. You didn't bring a My Device with? Or you couldn't reposition it?
Yeah, I haven't seen it for months. Do I need one?
Probably not.
Oh, she was going to have, I never did look at the,
I can grab you one. I bet you.
Yeah, I got an email about it, the presentation. I haven't done that yet either. How about that?
No, don't try and touch the screen. This isn't one of those fancy ones.
Thank you.
I don't think phone equipment wasn't available.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Switches are still. So that might be something we should ask for this year. Power over Ethernet switches. Because we could use the ports, and then once, if we do get a new phone system, odds are it'll be voice over IP.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be ready to roll as far as that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Laying down, not sleeping.
We'll get started in just a couple minutes. Just waiting to make sure our connections are all up and everyone can hear me and see me. Okay, I see I have Ashby connected. I also have Clearbrook Gonvick, I think. That's you with the little Pac-Man thingy up in the room in the back.
That's us.
Okay. And I was seeing Lakes Country before, but I'm not seeing them right now. I'm
We're up
want
here
to
and we
just
can
make
hear you.
yep, gotcha. Okay. And then it looks like Region 1 might be up, but their room is dark, so maybe nobody's in there yet. So I'm going to give it 2 minutes, and then it'll be 5 after 1, and I'll go ahead and start. Can everybody see and hear me okay? Please indicate if you can.
Yes.
Yes.
This is Carolyn from Boston. We're on too.
Oh, great. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi.
I'm seeing more sites now. That's great. Okay.
Can you see us, Mary, East Grand Forks?
I see you now that you're speaking. Hi, Kyle.
Hey, Heidi, Lynette, and Renee.
Oh, hi, Heidi. That was Heidi waving. I was trying to tell. The faces are kind of small. So, all right. Great. Marvelous.
Hi, John. Nicole Rogers, Lake Park, Ottawa.
All right.
Danielle Singer, Region. Nice to meet you.
I heard Danielle. I didn't see her.
He's coming too.
Okay.
He's just running.
I'm here. I don't know why you can't see me though.
to go to a basketball game after this, so he took second.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Danielle. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. There's a lot of echo going on, and so I'm going to ask everybody to mute their sites for now, but I will pause every so often and ask for questions, and then you can unmute and ask any questions you have. So if everybody could hit their mute button, that would be great. And it just went deadly quiet, so I think everybody did. Great, thank you. My name's Mary Messick-Homer. I'm working at Ties, and I am going to give you an E-rate overview this afternoon. What I will focus on is generally some of the things that are new and things that you might not be really familiar with yet. So I did send out... hold on one second. I got a text from Northwest Service Co-op. Trying to connect. Just one second. Bear with me one second. Hello?
We can hear you, Mary. This is Lakes Country.
Okay, I just suddenly went completely black here, so just a second. Technology's marvelous. Can you guys all still see me?
Foston can hear you but not see you.
Okay.
Mary, East Grand Forks. Oh, now I think you've disappeared and Carolyn took over. But
Yeah.
we can see you. You're like maybe an inch square.
Okay.
Everything shifted.
All right.
Love technology.
It's awesome.
It is.
Okay, Chris, we're gonna just please bear with me. Chris Winter's calling Northwest Service Cooperative. They wanted to be on the video call as well, so he's in the process of calling them, and I just told him I'm apparently not visible anywhere.
Now that you spoke, Mary, you are the.
Now
You
I'm
are
the key.
now like
okay, you
4 inches.
Yeah, yeah. As Heidi just said, now you're like about 4 inches wide.
That's very exciting.
Oh, there you are.
There we go.
There we go.
Now
Now everything's back. All right. Well, well, as long as we have a audience and everyone can see for the moment, let's go ahead and start. I did send out to Region 1 earlier a agenda for this afternoon. I reserved about an hour and a half for time, but it may not take that long if you don't have that many questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go over just a real quick review of the process itself to start with. I will then talk a little bit about the E-Rate Productivity Center, which is the new place to do your applications. What's changed in Category 1 and Category 2 for funding eligible services. A couple other small changes, and I'll give you an opportunity to ask questions that you might have as well. So I will pause every so often and ask for questions, and if there aren't any, I'll just keep going, and then at the end, of course, we'll have some time as well. So the agenda that I sent out also does have a link to the Google slide deck that I put together for this. There's about 19 slides in it if you want to pull it up. I will also, I can send it over the codec, but you may not be able to see it very well depending on how big your screens are. But why don't I do that here? And see how that goes. Okay, are you guys seeing a computer screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this you may not be able to read everything that I'm sharing on the screen, but if not, then go ahead, go to the link and you can pull it up on your computers in front of you and follow along. You might be able to see better. Otherwise, it's linked here, and this will be available to you at any time. I'll leave it shared and out there for you. So first thing, I put in my contact information for you. I still am the Minnesota E-rate coordinator for schools. For some strange reason, nobody else wants that job. I don't know why, but what that means is that I attend the E-rate training from the Schools and Libraries Division each year, and then I come back and kind of truncate it for you and give you the shortened version. I can also help you or answer questions that you have as you're going through the process. So hang on to my contact information. I know Danielle at Region 1 also gives you some help through Northwest Links as well. So either one of us can answer questions and try and interpret program rules and things for you as you go through it. So don't feel like you've got to do it all by yourself and there's no one to answer your questions. So as a real quick overview of the E-rate process, Walker Hackensack Akeley left the conference. Well, fine for them. The first part of the process is to release a call for proposals, if you will, through the Form 470 and go into a competitive bidding process for the services that you need. So the Form 470 is the first form that we file.
That's right. Oh, that's good.
Hi, could I have you mute your mics, please? I think, is that Walker? Thank you. The Form 470 is the first form in this series. Those can be filed anytime after July 1st. So you can go ahead and start those now. You remember that you do have to do a Form 470 for anything that is month-to-month or tariff service. If any of you are still filing for phone service that hasn't been zeroed out yet, or for any additional internet access that you're procuring outside of what you might be getting through Northwest Links. The Form 470 is that first form, and you can go in and do those now. So I would recommend that you go ahead and get started on those. The SLD has a new system for application, and there's a site out there that's not muted, and I'm hearing some clanking and kids yelling. So if you could check your mute button, that would be great. So the Form 470 will be your first form. The second form is the Form 471. That is your E-rate application. The window to do those is not yet open. The Schools and Libraries Division of USAC has indicated that it will open sometime in mid-January and close sometime near the end of March. But we don't have the definitive dates yet, so you still have plenty of time for most of the process here. I expect to see that window opening pretty much any day now, and as soon as I see it, I'll send out a note for everybody so that you know that you could start your Form 471 if you're ready to do that. The Form 486 is your, what I call confirmation of benefits. It is the form that you file once you've put in your Form 471, and then it goes into Program Integrity Assurance for review. It goes through about 3 different reviews at the SLD for that purpose. And you may be getting a lot of questions this year confirming your numbers of students in your buildings due to the Category 2 budgeting process. So don't be surprised if you get those. If you need some help with a confirmation or a validation of your student counts, please let me know. I can work with the Department of Education and get you what you need. Once your forms go into that Program Integrity Assurance, you'll answer questions and so on. And at the end of that, you'll get a funding commitment decision letter, which is when the E-rate folks tell you what you're actually going to receive in terms of your discount, what amounts of funding you've been approved for, and so on. So as soon as you get that, a best practice is as soon as you get that form in the mail, go right ahead and file your Form 486. That's your confirmation back to them that you're accepting the money. Your services are on track to start by July 1, or have started as of July 1 if you get it after July 1. Get your funding commitment decision letter after July 1. And so you want to get those filed because you have about 120 days to get those done after you've received that funding commitment decision letter. Okay? A lot of people, unfortunately, sometimes forget to file this one, and then they go to file a claim for reimbursement and realize they never filed their Form 486, and so their start date gets pushed back and they don't get all their money. So jump right on that Form 486 as soon as you see your funding commitment decision letter. At that point, too, you'll also have the choice to work with your provider as to whether you're going to pay the bills in full and they are going to discount you directly, or if you're going to use the Billed Entity Applied Reimbursement Process, or BEAR forms, which means you're going to pay the bill in full and you're going to claim reimbursements. Now, one great thing that they have done with the BEAR forms now is they have changed the process so that when you file a BEAR form, USAC, the Universal Service Administrative Company that administers the E-rate program, will pay you directly. You no longer need to wait for the check to come from the service provider. Okay, so you'll file your BEAR form and USAC will reimburse you directly. So you don't have to wait those, wait out your service provider, or go back and try and check with them to see where your checks are and that kind of thing. So that is, again, remember the process in a nutshell. Form 470 to open up any bids for equipment and or services that you need. Form 471 is your E-rate application. Form 486 confirms that you're getting the services you requested and everything's good to go. And then the BEAR for reimbursement. So I'm going to just pause there and just ask if anyone has any questions on the general process. And you can unmute to ask your question. Okay, you guys are very good students. No questions so far, which means I'm either really clear or you're already completely confused. But I'll keep going. All right. So the first thing we have to deal with this year is a new system for applying online. It's called the E-rate Productivity Center, or EPC. As the Schools and Libraries Division that administers the program for us from USAC is calling it EPIC. I don't know how epic it really is, but it is kind of a one-stop shop now, if you will, for all of your application processes. So from that standpoint, it's pretty nice to work with. It replaces all of the previous online application portals. You get to decide who has access to your applications and at what level. So when you first go to the portal to log in, if you are the one whose name was on the E-rate applications, you should have gotten an email from the Schools and Libraries Division that gave you the link where to go log into the portal and how to request a password. So basically what you do, and I've got the link there on the top of the slide, that's a live link with underline there, that will take you to the link for the E-rate Productivity Center login page, and you can click that, put in your email address, and if you're on their system and you click forgot password, it should trigger an email for you to get a password. If you get a message that says user does not exist or something like that, then you're going to want to use that toll-free number that I listed on the agenda and I've got it in these slides too. Call the Client Service Bureau and request from them a login number. Now, or login password, excuse me. So when you set up your account, you can then designate other roles in the portal. So for example, if you're the technology director or coordinator and you're going to do most of the E-rate process, you're going to want yourself to have kind of the top role, the administrative role, so that you can access everything. But then you might have, for example, a business manager who's going to need to go in there to look up numbers and so forth every so often, but maybe they don't need to input any data into the E-rate application. You can set them at like a read-only level. So they have a few levels of access there, and you can designate who else you want to have in the portal and what role or what abilities they will have when they're in there. So for those of you who might use a consultant, I don't know how many of you do, you would definitely have to go in there too and put in your consultant's information in order to give them access to file your forms for you. The portal also has other features. It's going to have task reminders. So if, for example, you filed your Form 471 and it's under review and SLD has sent you a request for more information, and that will, yay, Northwest Service Co-op's in. Finally, hi. Hi. Tim, can you guys mute your mic for now, but you can unmute when I ask for questions? Thank you. No worries. Otherwise, we just get echo and stuff, so. There we go. Perfect. So, I was just talking about, for the Northwest Service Co-op folks who just got hooked in, I'm just talking about the E-rate Productivity Center. If you've got my slide document, I am talking about slide 4. Okay, so, excuse me. So in addition, task reminders, that's where you'll go in to look up your application status once your forms are filed. There'll be deadlines and reminders in there for you. And I would recommend, because it's a little bit different, it's a new system, that you go ahead and go in there, get your login set up, and go in there and just start looking around right now before the window opens. Or if you have to file a Form 470, that would be a good thing to go in there and try. And on the link here for the E-rate Productivity Center, here's the login page. And they have a lot of other different resources here for you, including some really nice video tutorials. So if you get stuck somewhere in the process of setting up your E-rate Productivity Center account, you have some videos, some help resources to help you sort that out. I will have, because I'm the state E-rate coordinator, I will have viewing access to everything for Minnesota. So I will be able to go in and look at applications and so on. And the reason they did that is so that if you are having trouble, I can go in and see what you've got in there, and I can help you figure out how to do it correctly or how to fix it or add whatever might be missing, that kind of thing. So I'll be able to go in and view your stuff with you. Okay, so that's the whole new interface that you're going to have with the E-rate program. I've been in there and looked around a little bit. It seems to be pretty user-friendly. They've got back buttons in there that will take you backwards and forwards through the form. So hopefully you won't have some of those experiences we've had in the past where you used a back button and the system kicked you out and that sort of thing. They've got save buttons throughout the process, so hopefully it'll be working pretty well for us. I also attached to the slide here, I put a link in they just released a special news brief from the SLD talking about some of the frequently asked questions about the new EPC portal. So that's another good source of information for you. So I'm going to just pause there before I go on and just see if anyone has any big questions about the E-Rate Productivity Center at this point. Okay, I don't hear anybody. So I'll keep going. All right. Eligible services list. As in previous years, we have a brand new eligible services list. I have it linked there on the slide for you. Make sure that as you're doing your E-Rate applications, you're checking that 2016 list for questions you have about what might or might not be eligible. What they've done with these lists now is instead of having them put into a big table that you had to scroll through a real big laundry list of services and equipment, they now are just using the FCC order as it was written for the eligible services list. From one standpoint, this is good because it gives you kind of the straight verbiage from the FCC on the different categories of things. The thing that's awkward about it is an FCC order has like a lot of conversational style in it, and so you'll be seeing a lot of, well, people were writing to us and saying, you know, firewalls should be eligible. We agreed with them, so now firewalls are eligible under this sort of scenario. So it is a little bit bulkier to read through, but frankly, I just print a copy and keep it at my desk so that I can answer questions and refer to it fairly often. The other thing you can do is if you open it up as a PDF and you're looking for a certain service, you can use your find feature to go ahead in the document and find those areas where router might be mentioned or fiber might be mentioned, and that'll help you kind of narrow down what you are looking for there as well. So definitely just make sure you're using the 2016 list. It's the one that is dated. Oops, that should say 15. Sorry about that. Here I was being so careful to use 2016. I missed a 2015. I'll fix that. There is also another slide set that the SLD put together on eligible services that might give you some additional guidance and help should you need it, and I did link that here as well. So let's dig in and talk a little more about what is specifically eligible versus not eligible and so on. So in previous years, we were used to E-Rate referring to Priority 1 and Priority 2 services. Last year, that all changed. We now have Category 1 and Category 2. And the reason those titles were changed is because E-Rate no longer puts a priority on either category, a priority order. There is specific funding set aside for both Category 1 and Category 2. So that's why the names were changed. Category 1 has not changed that much. It is still your external connections to the internet and data telecommunication services. Think of those as connections that come to your school. It also includes the broadband connections to eligible locations that connect multiple points of presence, that connect you to the internet and provide your basic internet access. So again, that was pretty straightforward. That's the way it's pretty much always been. Those of you in the Northwest Links telecommunications region, Region 1 does your E-rate for those connections. So if you have additional things that you do outside of Northwest Links, supplemental internet access and that kind of thing, then you would be applying for that. Otherwise, you don't need to really worry about that part of it. Some Category 1 examples. There are listed. Of course, fiber is becoming more prevalent, thankfully, and is being put into more places. So those are eligible. Wireless, satellite, and so on. Ethernet connections, all the way down to T1s if you're still buying service that way. Hopefully, many of you don't have to do it that way anymore. So those are just some examples of the types of connections and services that are eligible under Category 1. Just a reminder, for Category 1, there were some things that were taken off the list last year. Remember that your voice services, if you are applying for cell phones, local phone service, long distance, those are being phased out at 20% per year. So what that means is if you are a district that's getting an 80% discount on your phone services, last year you would have gotten 60% instead. This year you'll be eligible for 40%, and it'll keep going down until you zero out, and then your phone services will no longer be funded. The other things that were eliminated right off the bat were email services, web hosting, custom calling, direct inward dialing, voicemail, directory services, 900, 976 call blocking, text messaging, and inside wire maintenance plans. None of those things are eligible, and that change was put into place last funding year. So I know that was a bit of a disappointment also for many of you who were helping to fund your web hosting, your websites that way. So those contracts are unfortunately no longer eligible under E-rate. So I'm going to just pause there and just check in to see if anyone has any questions about anything with Category 1 at this time. And if you think of a question later, that's totally okay. Okay, hearing no questions, I'll keep going. So let's talk about Category 2, because this is where many of you, if you haven't already done it last year, will maybe looking to for this year. Category 2 is your internal access. Now you remember that Category 2 used to be called Priority 2, and it was called Internal Connections, and most of us never got any funding for it unless we were in that 80% discount range or higher. Now, because they put actually dedicated some funding to Category 2, all of the requests that were approved last year for Category 2 funding were approved. So regardless of where you fell in that discount range, everybody's Category 2 requests were funded last year. So yes, you do have a very good chance of getting funding for these things if you complete the application correctly. So think of those as connections inside the school, and the big push with the E-rate program was to provide wireless access within buildings because of all of the devices and things that we have kids bringing into school or that we're providing in 1-to-1, 2-to-1, and 3-to-1 implementation. So your network routers and switches, Wi-Fi access points, and wired and wireless network services are all eligible under Category 2. So Category 2 works a little bit differently. There is a budget that is established for you. Schools are limited to $150 per student over a 5-year period, beginning with last funding year. So this budget was set for you beginning July 1st, 2015. Now, this will fluctuate from year to year because, of course, you might have fluctuations in student counts from year to year. And also remember that this is not just money that's available to you. This is a pre-discount amount. So you're not ever going to be eligible for the full $150 per student. You're going to be eligible for whatever your E-rate discount percentage is of that $150 per student. So this is a pre-discount amount, okay? And it's good for 5 years. The SLD started this program last year and indicated they would study it after 2 years of operation, but they have been communicating that the 5 years will start as soon as you draw from it the first time. So if you didn't file any category 2 last year and you start this year, then you've got 5 years from funding year 2016. The budgets are allocated by school site, and you have some choice in how you allocate that, and I will explain that in a minute. But they're not meant to be shared across all of the sites randomly unless you have a shared piece of equipment. So maybe, or something that needs to go into a central location to serve all of the buildings. So as an example, maybe you have a district office that sits off and doesn't have a lot of doesn't have classrooms in it, or maybe they just serve early childhood or something in there. So it's considered a non-instructional facility. Those types of entities do not generate any of this money. So, but that doesn't mean that you still couldn't put connectivity in there, but it would have to be centrally located and shared across the district. Okay, so just the non-instructional facilities really don't generate Category 2 unless you're putting something in there that's going to be shared across all of the buildings. Or maybe you're putting, maybe you're a one-building school district and you're technically putting a router and some other stuff in the high school, but it's also going to be used at the elementary kind of thing. So just remember, they're allocated by school site. That's how they determine your amount. And you can pull from the individual school budgets to put something central. Libraries are limited. If you're in a public library, they're limited to $2.30 per square foot pre-discount total request over 5 years. So their budgets are determined basically by their square footage size. And the Category 2, like I said earlier, it's now available for all levels of free and reduced lunch counts. So just because you may have a lower E-rate discount rate doesn't mean you can't go for the priority to the Category 2 now. I used to say, well, if you're not in those higher discounts, don't bother. Now you definitely should look at this and bother. Okay, the way you can split out your Category 2 allocation, you can do, once you've kind of calculated your amount at $150 per student, you can do it in a straight line, so each school building gets an equal amount. You can do it proportionally based on their student count, or you can set up some sort of specific measurement where you identify the share that each site will get for your projects. So you have some flexibility there in how you split those amounts out. So I'm going to just pause there and just see if you have any questions about your Category 2 budgets. Okay, everybody's good with that? Oh, I see someone waving. All right.
Can you hear me, Mary?
I can hear you, but I can't tell who it is, so tell me who you are.
That's Tim over here. I'm way over here, out of range.
Hi, Tim. Hi, Tim. I see Kevin, but I can't see Tim. Okay.
Just so I'm square, if we have 2,000 kids, it works out to be $300,000, but we only qualify for what our E-rate discount is of that amount?
Correct.
Okay.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Any
Hey,
other questions?
Yeah, Carolyn at Foston. So
Hi,
the
Carolyn.
student. Hi, Mary. So the student count is overall district, and then it's split between the schools however we want to split it.
The student count, you're counting up your totals. Yeah, you're counting up your total kids throughout the district. That's going to give you your number. And you can count both full-time and part-time kids in that, okay, as long as they're K-12 students, pre-K through 12 students. So yes, that's going to generate your total. And then it's up to you how you split that between sites.
Okay.
Based on those three methods that I told you.
Yep.
Make sense?
Thanks, Mary.
Okay. You bet.
Mary?
Yeah, Kyle.
Yeah, did you say pre-K?
Yes, in Minnesota, pre-K students are eligible.
Okay. And even if they're very part-time?
Yes.
Okay. And
Now,
one
tricky, let me just clarify one thing there for you. I have run into this with some school districts who are running a early childhood program within one of their buildings. And because in MARS you only report the early childhood special education kids, if SLD comes back to you and is looking for like a verification that count is correct, I have to kind of go I have to go through the MDE to their to one of their data people and have that checked. So if you do get that question, that takes a little time. So just make sure you get it to me right away so I can start working with them. There's not a public source of data that I can pull that early childhood. They have to look it up on their system internally. So so just so you know, if you have to verify those early childhood kids, that takes a little extra time. I had, for example, to give you an example, I had a school district who was running 4 early childhood programs in different sites under 4 different names. The superintendent sent in the counts that they have for enrollment, and then SLD came back to me and said, Mary, as state E-rate coordinator, can you tell me if these counts are legitimate? And I had to go to the Department of Ed to have them look it up because there was no report out there that I could just get to.
Sure.
Mary, this is Danielle.
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Danielle.
Hi.
Yep. Hi.
Just to make sure I understood correctly, the numbers that are published by MDE, those do include preschool or do not include preschool?
The numbers that we use for off the MARS system